So, I went to go see How to Train Your Dragon 2, and I'm not terribly surprised there's a sequel because, I mean, half the time these things act like cats, and have you ever tried to train a cat? Granted, the other half they act like dogs, but still, have you ever tried to train a cat? The film's written and directed by Dean DeBlois. He's the man who brought us Lilo and Stitch in the first How to Train Your Dragon, and pretty much the entire voice acting cast makes a comeback, including Jay Baruchel as Hiccup, and Gerard Butler as Stoic. I want to kill the lawn people. I really do. Well, it's night now, so no more lawn care at least. Anywho, the story takes place several years after the end of the first film, and everyone on the Isle of Berk now loves dragons. They're basically their constant companions, pets, and like work helpers. Hiccup's a 20-year-old young man. He's engaged to be married to Astrid. Stoic is proudly grooming him for the role of village chief, and Hiccup's not sure how he feels about all that. He's fine with the marriage bit. He just doesn't really know how he feels about being the next chief. He doesn't feel like he knows his place in the world, and so he spends most of his time out exploring and finding new islands. While he's out exploring, Hiccup runs across evidence of two people. One's a mysterious stranger from his past who, if you've seen the trailers, has had their identity horribly spoiled for you. And the other is a villain who goes by the oh-so-subtle name of Drago Bloodfist. And he's horribly subjugating dragons and creating a dragon army. So, war in action. And really, it's those two characters that cause the only problem that I have in this film. They each represent a main plot thread for this movie. On the one hand, with the mysterious stranger, you have this whole plot about Hiccup and where he fits in the world and who he is, and his history and his family, and just explores that whole line of thought. And it's beautiful, and it's touching, and it's heartwarming, and it's really fantastically done. And the other, Drago Bloodfist, you basically just have an action movie, which is fine, but the other plot thread, most of the film's effort is focused on that. And so the action movie aspect is really not played up much at all, and it's almost kind of it was almost kind of a background feeling for me, which means that when you get to the action at the end, it felt really underwhelming. I mean, it was still fantastic and fun to watch, and Hiccup now basically has a flaming fantasy lightsaber thing, which is really cool. But it just... The action bits really lacked any real resonance. And I mean, they do meet, and where they meet, there's some fantastic things that happen. But it's still, like, the things that happen are all just basically only relevant to the mysterious stranger storyline with, you know, Hiccup and his feelings and his family and his history. It doesn't really have much to do with the action war bit, or it didn't in my eyes. But, I mean, that's just me. It's still really fun action, it just sort of seems to come out of nowhere when it does. That said, this film is fantastically rendered. The CGI is just beautiful. I sat closer than I would have normally. The showing that I went to was surprisingly packed, and so I sat really relatively close, and so my field of vision was almost entirely the film. And it was, even at the 2D showing, it was just beautiful. Like when he's up there flying and everything's going, it felt like I was there, just in the air with him. Fantastic attention to detail, just beautifully done. One of the better CGI films I've seen visually in quite some time. In the end, this film is more adult than the previous one. I mean, it's not an adult movie. It's still sort of a family, all ages sort of deal. But the plot that they're trying to tell is a little bit more mature than in the first one, and it gets surprisingly dark at times. There's even some character death involved. So if you have a young one who's, you know, easily frightened or easily saddened, you might want to pass it by. But other than that, I can't really think of a good reason not to watch this movie. It's well acted, it is just beautiful, a joy to watch. And in spite of my little complaint about the, the two plot threads, it was overall a fun, well-done movie. I encourage people to go see it in theaters on as stunningly beautiful a screen as you can possibly get to. If you have to watch it at home, just buy a big screen TV, like just beautiful, beautiful high def to watch this film on, because it's worth it. It's just so pretty. Anywho, until next time, folks, enjoy film.